Hi everyone, this is video number 8 of your GCSE Buddhism revision for Unit 1. The topic is the Dhammapada. So our learning outcomes for this video are to be able to describe what the Dhammapada is, explain why the Dhammapada is important to Buddhists, and assess the relevance of the Dhammapada today. Only one key word, Dhammapada, what is it? It is a Buddhist scripture. If you were asked a question in your GCSE exam, what is the Dhammapada, all you would need to write down is a Buddhist scripture, and you'd get 2 out of 2 for that. However, the topic of the Dhammapada could come up in an 8 marker or a 6 marker. It came up in an 8 marker in 2011. Now, in order to get full marks 8 out of 8, what we need is a clear understanding of the issue using 4 brief reasons or 2 developed reasons, or as I'm going to do in this video, show a clear understanding of the issue using 3 reasons with 1 developed. The Dhammapada also came up as a topic in the 2012 exam. This question was asked: the Dhammapada is not relevant today. Do you agree? Give reasons for your opinion. Give reasons why someone might disagree with you. So you can ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident would you feel about getting all 6 marks on that now? And the idea with all of these videos is that you replay them again and again until you feel 10 out of 10 confident if that question were to come up this year. So the Dhammapada, we've already learnt that it's a Buddhist scripture. What else can we say about it? Well, it's a collection of sayings of the Buddha in verse form. That means poetry, basically. It is one of the most widely read and best known Buddhist scriptures, and the text is part of the Sutta Pitaka, which, as we learned in the previous video, is one of the 3 baskets of the Tipitaka. Now, ideally, I suppose, you'd read the whole of the Dhammapada. You may not have time to do that. I definitely don't have time to include all of it in this video, so I'm just going to pick one verse to give you a little flavour of what it's like. So, hatred can never put an end to hatred. Love alone can. This is an eternal law. Now, I think that this little verse is probably quite easy to remember. But the other reason that I've chosen it is because it's claiming that it's an eternal law. So, in other words, something which is still relevant today, just as much as it was in the time of the Buddha. So we can link that with our third learning outcome of assessing the relevance of the Dhammapada. And I'm going to include this quotation in both the 8 marker and the 6 marker model answers that I'll show you in a minute. So, first learning outcome, describe what the Dhammapada is. We can give that the Mr. Powers tick. Now, the second learning outcome, explain why the Dhammapada is important to Buddhists. So let's go to our model exam answer from 2011. The Dhammapada is a Buddhist scripture. It is important for Buddhists because it contains sayings attributed to the Buddha himself. For example, hatred can never put an end to hatred, love alone can. This is an eternal law. That's one developed reason. It is also important because it summarizes key Buddhist beliefs such as karma and presents them in an accessible way, in a way that's easy to understand, in other words. That's one brief reason. In addition, it contains spiritual insights which help Buddhists on the path to Nibbana. That's another brief reason. So we've got a clear understanding of the issue using 3 reasons with 1 developed 8 out of 8 because there are no grammatical mistakes and no spelling errors. As I said at the start, the idea is that you replay this video again and again until you feel totally confident about answering this question if it were to come up again. Hopefully you feel more confident already. We're going to give that second learning outcome now the Mr. Powers tick, and move on to our final learning outcome, which is assess the relevance of the Dhammapada today. So, the Dhammapada is not relevant today. That's the statement that we have to either agree or disagree with. And this came up in the 2012 exam. So, I disagree with this statement because it contains teachings which are as true today as they were when the Dhammapada was first written. For example, hatred can never put an end to hatred, love alone can. This is an eternal law. That is one developed reason. I also disagree with this statement because the Dhammapada contains teachings on karma, and many people today believe in the principle that what goes around comes around. That's a brief reason, so we've got 1 developed reason, 1 brief reason, 3 out of 3 for that part. Some people might disagree with me because the Dhammapada was written over 2,000 years ago. It was written before modern technology and modern day lifestyles. Some people might argue, therefore, that it does not address the concerns of modern day life. That's one developed reason. Also, the central teaching of the Dhammapada is how to achieve Nibbana. This has no relevance to non-Buddhists. One developed reason, one brief reason, 3 out of 3. So hopefully you will feel more confident about answering this question if it were to come up in the in this year's exam. Just keep replaying the video until you're totally confident about it. So we're going to give our final learning outcome the Mr. Powers tick, and that's all 3 learning outcomes met. The final video for Unit 1 is the Sangha.